Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, and today I have the honor of hosting Dale Forward. How you doing today, Dale?
Hey, I'm good. It's good to see you, man. It's good to be on.
Good to see you also. You've been in this space for quite some time. You reached out to me since I was hosting some other Algorand creators. And, I think we should start off by simply asking, tell me a little more about yourself and, who you are and what represents you.
Yeah, so I'm like Australian. I live in Australia. And I've been an artist like all my life.
Nice.
I've made a huge range of sort of different art things over my life. Like I've built comic books that I've shipped around the world. I've had some like more traditional gallery exhibitions. And yeah, like I've done as much as I can within art, and basically it sort of led into me starting my own businesses with art, and that led into NFTs, which they just seemed like the highest chance of success at the time that I was like looking for a new business. And
Sure.
then yeah, like I basically started on Ethereum, but that was they're just like I was getting some sales from friends, but it didn't really lead into anything bigger, mostly because of the gas prices. And so then I talked to some collectors, and they were suggesting other coins, and one that came up was Algorand. And so then I spent like the last 2-ish years building stuff on Algorand and learning about the crypto space. And then now recently I'm exploring XRP, which is the big thing at the moment for me.
Yeah. Nice. I think it's awesome that you found your way to much more sustainable cryptocurrencies that have a lot more longevity within kind of how they can really mass adopt more people and be used in a bigger, broader scale. So that's great. I mean, Algorand's a great chain. I've spoken to many great people over there, and I really like these, obviously the alternative tokens, since the name the Alt Kings, but it's because, they're just so sustainable. It's like you go to Algorand, XRP, HBAR, Cardano, you find yourself at all these different chains, and it seems for the most part the communities are much similar in kind of, their perspectives on the greater crypto world. And it's a great sight to see. But tell me a little bit, more about your experience as like an Algorand artist and how that, came to life developing, NFTs.
Yeah, so when I started, I had no idea. Like people were just sort of saying, yeah, just like make an NFT and list it, see what happens. Like, and so I was like, okay. So I built some art that I thought was cool, and just sort of trying to make more like one-of-one traditional style, like stuff that was art compared to the PFP stuff that was around. And I was heavily inspired by D4 at the moment, who's the Delta Crew creator. If people are watching, they might know that. And he was one of my first collectors. And so he was doing 3D art, which is what I started off with. I was using Unity. And I found that at the time that I started, which was, I think, November, like 2021, I think, it was a really strong community at the time, which, like, it felt like it was flourishing, like there was so much going on. And I was just releasing pieces once a day, I guess inspired by, like, people. I was just like, let's just do what people did and, like, see what happens. And they were selling like very fast. And then when it got into December, things slowed down because of Christmas and everything. And so then I realized, so there's a bit of a cycle going on maybe with this. Like I was starting to see it then. And then as things went on, I'd learn about like the bear cycle and the bull market and stuff and all those crypto terms. But generally, yeah, I realized that, there's some people that want to collect art and want to collect one-of-one art and my stuff. But I had to really go through and try and understand why, though. Like, because I could see it. The data proved that, yeah, this stuff was selling, but I had to spend a lot of time, like, trying to unravel why people collect one-of-one art, or just art, or PFPs in general. And so I did a lot of experiments on Algorand, especially under my Algo Gods collection, of just different art styles, different release methods, different mediums and everything. And talking to a lot of people in the spaces to try and understand what makes high quality stuff. And then over the next few months or like year or so, I started to get the different aspects of it, and then I could start to funnel that into like maximizing the best or a better quality art. And and then it just sort of developed into like how one artwork and one NFT relates to a whole collection then. And so then you're sort of building one artwork inside of one much larger artwork. And
That's awesome.
I've noticed that it's a lot of, I try and think of it like fractals and stuff where it's
Yeah.
and that's something that I've been trying to think a lot more about, where you've got the artwork inside the collection and then how the collections relate to one another as well. And so then you can hopefully bring value to your past collections too by making new ones as well.
It's a smart approach. I mean, what is your favorite type of art style, would you say?
Well, for me to make it, at the moment, I've been doing a lot of the drawn stuff using the tablets. I find that gets a lot of positive feedback because people see it being made and they know how to draw in a way. Like everybody's tried to draw, so they understand the sort of difficulty and stuff. And I find that adds a lot of value to the experience of seeing the piece compared to maybe like the 3D art, which even though like that can be, you can do some like different effects and you can make it more efficiently and do like more like epic things because you can just multiply, 1,000 things. But I think though that it's a different headspace for that, because when people see it, they connect it maybe to more like gaming or other artists that they've seen rather than their own personal experience of making it, which I think can just affect the value of it. So that it can be a different approach to 3D art in like adding value compared to if it was hand drawn.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what it really inspired the creation of the Algo Gods NFT project, would you say? What was the big turning point that made you discover, Algo Gods is kind of what I want to go with, and this is the approach I'm going to take?
Yeah, well, so like a lot of my collections, they evolve over time. So at the beginning of Algo Gods, I wanted to just make some art at like before even Algo Gods was named. I was just making art and releasing it and just calling it names of things. And then some of the names in the space said to me, like, you should make a collection name and think about that as a thing. And so I decided Algo Gods because a lot of my art relates around like godlike big creatures. I find as well that the spiritual content and that sort of epic size tends to make people connect, and it like adds that value to the piece.
What type of gods is it by chance? Is it like Greek mythology, or like is it like superhero type of gods?
Yeah,
Anything?
so it can be like a mix. It can be more traditional gods, like the Greek or Norse or Indian gods and stuff. Or it can be like more joking and stuff. So it could be like the god of teacups or whatever, and like they're just trying to get a range. And as I went on, that term became a bit more loose because I was experimenting so much too. So I did some content where it was like videos doing infinite zooms and everything, where it was more centered around the environment rather than the god itself. So I kind of was a bit loose on that term. But what ended up happening was that, like, became a spiritual sort of experience where I tried to think about, like, how do I make these artworks really nice then? Like, how do I make them, like, fit for the gods in a way? Like, and so what happened was people said, you need a limit for your collection. I just keep making it. It makes it hard for collectors to sort of value it and connect with it. So I decided on 888, which is like I think a Chinese luck number, and it's good positive vibes and stuff. And so then I realized that if I'm going to do that many, and my collection's so broad and changing over time, then I want each piece to try and lead up so that 888th piece is epic and an awesome piece. So what happened was I kept taking more and more time with my artworks, and trying to unravel what makes an artwork valuable. And so now I'm doing more intense, like hand-drawn pieces that are large and are like made for posters.
Nice. That's awesome.
And yeah, it's just sort of developed over time because at the start I knew nothing about the space. I knew nothing really about NFT art, and so
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it loose and open, like so that I can adjust as I went. And
Have you enjoyed the process?
Sorry?
Have you enjoyed the process?
Yeah, I definitely have. Like, there's been some ups and downs and stuff. I think probably mostly relating to the price of Algorand and the space shrinking a bit.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are typical NFT project problems, I'd say.
Yeah. Like, but yeah, I love sitting down and making the art. And yeah, I think that the positive thing about the whole thing is how supportive the community has been. They've just supported the directions that I've taken. They've like given me feedback, but I think the big thing is that they just sort of trust and let me do my thing. Like, they're just like, you kind of know what you're doing. You just go and do it, test it out and stuff, and we'll call you out if you're really making a mistake. Like, and I think that's been huge because then I can experiment without as much fear of like losing all this respect or whatever. And I think that sort of goes the same with going to XRP and testing that out. I've seen a lot of artists try and move to a different chain, and a lot of like projects especially, they're just, the space can be like, oh, you're just you cash grabber, then you left. But it's like, from my eyes, like the way I explain it to my collectors is that, like, you know, I want to keep everything going, but Algorand isn't sustainable. And so if you want an artist to be around, I need to be free to move and explore. And I've noticed as well that people from XRP are going to Algorand and testing things out too. So
yeah, it's a lot of cross-chain mixture.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, artificial intelligence, like AI-generated photos and NFTs? One would put, there's a lot of it out in the space, I've realized, just starting to pop up here and there. And I think it's just because how accessible it is for anybody, just create a collection of a couple thousand AI-generated photos, type out what they want it to be. They see what it looks like. Oh, they're like, yep, check mark, it's good to go. And then they put it up on a marketplace and hope it sells. And I'm just curious, coming from an actual artist who, has to use, a lot of creative aspects and abilities just to, configure and create just, unique one-of-one pieces. What are your thoughts on how AI can integrate with a lot of art now?
Well, yeah, so I think there's two important things there. The first one is that AI can really assist artists in a lot of different ways. And I think that assistance is really important to recognize, where for me, I've used it for upscaling and maybe doing some special minor effects, but the actual artwork itself that I've created more by hand is still maintained and still visible. And I think the other big point is that sort of coming back to what I was saying before about how you can create value by the type of medium that you choose to make the artwork in. I think a lot of people see AI as like cheating. I see it in the same sort of way as how people used to see photography with art, where they were like, yeah, you snap a photo and then boom, it's done. Like, you don't need to think much about it. But as people now have been educated over time, they've realized, oh no, photography is like a legitimate art form and there's lots of different skills and stuff. And I think that can be a thing that happens with AI. I don't know for sure yet, but I know that a lot of people just see it as just typing in a prompt and then it spits out an image. And I've talked to AI artists and I know that there is a bit more that goes on in there, but the way that people value it is by their own preconceptions of how things are made. And so generally people are going to say it's valued less. And I think from my eyes, the successful AI projects are the ones that either use it in a different way to like assist their art, or the value of the NFT isn't purely from the visual content, like through the AI. It connects to something else. So maybe through the community, where one really good example is Afrospace on Algorand, who he uses images using AI, and it's like of African culture and stuff, but different things in that, but to start a conversation about maybe famous people, famous African American like people there, and so then it's trying to represent that culture and start a conversation about that, where because the art looks good, but the true value comes from the community that's surrounded around it. And I've seen that a lot with higher quality AI NFTs, is they might focus on video content, which is like pushing all the AI videos and artworks together to make something new. And so then it's more AI assisted, or the AI artwork isn't the focus. And
that makes sense.
That's sort of how I see it.
Yeah. You opened me up to a new way of looking at some things. It was whenever you were referencing AI to how, photography was looked at with, hand-drawn portraits. I never really thought of that, but it makes so much sense how AI is to now kind of just any sort of art. It's really sort of, up the level, or more or less up the bar that it takes to be creative and to create uniquely, because now you really have endless opportunity with AI. It's just a matter of scaling that to your own personalization and making it, one of one.
Yeah, and I've found too that it pushes a lot of the artists then to up their quality, because there's all these high quality artworks now that are around. And it also, I actually think it makes artists that share their process more valuable too. So I try and show time lapses of my drawings, and it proves that I'm a human.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, well, we know this guy is like legit and stuff now, and so it really like adds a lot with that. But yeah, I do wonder, like, I think that similar to like photography or even digital art, like there's some people in the world that still think any digital art just isn't art at all, and that still blows my mind. But I think that AI art over time, and this could be years, like 5 or 10 years, that people really wrap their head around what it takes and type of value and stuff. I think it's just because it's so new and people don't understand it, and they see that AI is scary and because of everything else that AI represents. I think over time people will get more educated, and then we'll know its true value after a few years, if it's worth more or less. And
definitely. Those are great points. And, I'd love to ask you this next question. As you've been an artist in this space, working on 3 different chains now, soon to be working on XRP. What is some advice that you would give a brand new artist who has a history of just doing free hand-drawn artwork that wants to enter this space and work on a chain and produce NFTs?
I think a big thing is to not overcommit too much. I think that if you can try and maintain your lifestyle as much as you can, then you can have longevity in the space. I think that you definitely, though, need to listen to the people in the space, though, as well, because they know much more than you about selling NFTs. But also be particular about what you act on with what they say, which sort of relates to overcommitting, because a lot of people will ask about utility and stuff. They'll suggest things like, hey, you should do like customs if people own 10 pieces, or like, hey, you should give royalties to the holders of your works. But then if you're an artist, and I'm assuming that that's all you do, that's your only skills, you got no dev skills, you got no social media skills and stuff too. The social media stuff, though, you do need to develop.
That's a big for the future of anything nowadays online.
Yeah, like honestly, that's more important sometimes than the art itself. But if you do good art, then it should be the social media thing. Like
art that resonates. That's the big key. Yeah. You have to resonate with people for them to like it, and then them to want to buy it at the end of the day. Yeah. And if it doesn't resonate with the party you're going for or attracting, then you're not going to sell. And then you also have to think of, just different aspects of being able to sell someone anything. And that's one of the biggest factors, I think.
Yeah, and that's actually another thing that I'd say is don't worry about the price of your sales early on too much. Focus on getting holders first.
Yeah.
So I think that if you can price it where you're getting a reasonable income for the amount of time that you're putting in, but it might not be crazy, but getting holders first, that's much more important than getting the crypto.
Definitely.
Because if you can get like 10 holders, then those people are now in your world, in your project, and they can help you grow and tell you more about the space. So they should be like your best mates when you're going in, like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for them too, they can be the sounding boards too, where you speak openly and honest and say, I only have this much time, I only have these skills, and I don't want to overcommit to all these different things. Because but also if you're an artist and you're just like, yeah, I want to muck around and do all the things, then you should be able to be open about that with everybody, saying, I'm just going to test this out. Don't expect me to maintain this. I'm just going to try it for a week and we'll see, and then we'll get back to you. I think that over time you build expectations of you as an artist or you as a creator. And I think that the best thing that is that when people see you, they know what you're doing. They know your direction. They know what you're probably going to do for the next week. And if you come in like those first few weeks or months or whatever that you're in there, they're the best because you can do whatever and you can mess things up all the time and you can experiment to your heart's content. As you go further on, if you keep experimenting in certain ways, then people are going to be like, all right, dude, like, what are you doing now? Like, what are you actually going to commit to? We can't cling on to anything. And I think that's where if you really keep it simple and you make art that you think has value and that is priced accordingly and released in a nice way and it's consistent, like, then you can grow this collection that can hopefully have value in it so that people can trade and sell their other stuff to other collectors. Then now you've got a nice NFT collection. And if you can keep it simple like that and grow while keeping it simple, then you've just got much more room to like develop and adjust if things start going wrong. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be spending every hour of every day on that collection. You want to be able to step away and enjoy the rest of life. And so I think being able to set your goals and set your standard and figure it out, that then means that, yeah, you could go on, like, in theory, forever. Like,
definitely. Small and simple, it's scalable at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I think that if you were a new artist coming in, I'd just say, just start talking to people, start releasing stuff, and just having a chat. But yeah, just know that not everybody's going to be your target market. So be careful about everything that you act upon. You got to find your group, and that might take a while though too.
It's trial and error at the end of the day, and you can only help assist from, previous experience and previous trial and error. People from the ancient times, we wouldn't know the history and the trial and errors that they went through if we didn't learn from their mistakes. And if we didn't learn from their mistakes, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's like, it's key to life. You must fail to achieve some sort of success. I want to really start dabbling more into, your new approach to XRP and creating NFTs on XRPL. What is this process going to look like for yourself? How will, you see yourself onboarding, current XRP holders into your collection? And what is the, market approach for this?
Well, I think it's important to know where I started for this collection, just to give a bit of frame of reference. So, a guy from Algorand hit me up and he just said, can you mint something on XRP and I'll probably pick it up. And so I minted a tree with a face and I was like, oh yeah, he bought it. Nice. That's cool.
So wait a second. You're telling me you're doing the tree faces project on the XRPL?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I did not know you were tied to that at all, because it doesn't say anything in your on your account about it. So now that, okay, I've seen that art. That's great.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
No
Yeah,
problem.
it's my pin tweet, but yeah, I need to update my bio and everything.
Yeah, you've mentioned those on what was it, on XRP, right? No, sorry, XRP Cafe.
Yeah, XRP Cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been listing it all. Yeah, so it basically started with a guy that wanted to just buy something from me on XRP because he wanted me to just get on it and test it out. And luckily as well, a week or two before, I heard about Cafe just starting up. So it was sort of in my head a little bit. And so I tested it out, but then my next test as an artist was is there going to be a mix of buyers from Algorand, like my past collectors, and new people on XRP. Because then if it was a nice healthy mix, then I'm like, all right, the marketplace is probably good.
Yeah.
And luckily, like the next 5, I sold as with some people on Algo and some people on XRP. So I was like, happy days. This looks nice. And then I basically just kept going where I'll just keep making one. So I always have one listed from me. They do sell quick, where it's like a few seconds sometimes with sales. And so I've just been keeping that going and just growing it in that way. And so now I've capped it as well at 500. And I'm at about, I think, 240 at the moment. So I've still got a bit to go.
So it's one a day?
Oh, no, sometimes it'll be like 10 a day or something.
Oh, nice.
I've been doing it for about 2 months now, I think.
That's incredible.
Thanks, man.
It sounds really fun. I've never thought of approaching it that way, and I don't think I've ever heard any other artist approach it that way either, where they kind of just, release as they please, and then the market kind of picks it up as it wishes. And I think that's kind of a cool approach because, then you have slow, consistent sort of cash roll coming in to fund the project, and you're not necessarily dying out by picking up a crap ton of money initially and then dispersing it so much where you drain yourself and have nothing to progress with.
Yeah. There's been lots of positives from this method, honestly. Basically, it fits my lifestyle perfect because then I can be like, I don't really want to do any trees today. Like, I'm just going to hang out and just rest. And then everybody's like, yeah, no worries, man. Like, you do you. But then for the days that I want to do them, I'll just make as many as I want to. And I love making an artwork and releasing it straight away. Like, that for me makes sense. I've always sort of been annoyed when I had to hold an artwork as the beat.
Yeah.
Like, it loses its sort of value. I'm like, come on, I just want to show this to everybody. And so then it also helps when I release it, it becomes random. So nobody knows when it's going to be dropped. So it can develop some sort of fanatical people where they'll be refreshing my page on XRP Cafe.
Wow.
Every few minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
you've got that desire. That's good to have.
Yeah. And so then I released them for 100 XRP too, which means that there's room for secondary sales as well. So the people that pick them up really quickly, it takes the pressure off me from having to think, oh God, I need to sell this piece. They pick it up. They're like, yeah, well, I'll take it. And then I'll try and sell it for maybe a little bit more or maybe a lot more, or will hold on to it. So there's that sort of basic secondary action going on there too, because there's a lot of people that can't spend their time refreshing the page every few minutes. So that's
a really smart approach.
And it sort of just came out by accident. I didn't really plan or think about that. I was just like, I just want,
especially selling for 100 XRP.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
No, man, for this market condition, it's really good.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I guess because I want to make things that I've seen people collect before, where I try and think of it. So Tree Faces is the collection theme, which is basically a tree with a face, and then I try and add another theme on top of that for each piece, generally. So it could be a tree face with a crown, or a tree face that's a pirate.
You love our crowns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and because I find that then it gives the brand of the Tree Faces but then also it gives the individuality where it might like people connect with it more personally because they're like, yeah, it's got a crown, so it must be valued at a high price.
Yeah, maybe we do a Tree Face Alt Kings collab on a tree.
Yeah, man.
That'd be
down. Yeah.
That would be sick.
But yeah, so I think that the whole thing though with Tree Faces is everybody understands what it is too, which makes it a lot easier to try and promote it. Where it's pure art, one-of-one NFT collection. And everybody in the space knows what that is. And so that makes it a lot easier to be like, what are you doing, Dale? And I'm like, yeah, this is trees with faces. You see exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
If you're not interested, then you're not interested. Like some people love utility and they're not into it. And it's like, it's not for you. But then there's other people that they love it. They like live by it. Like they will wake up and refresh. Like,
so the only it's just art. You don't provide any other additional value. It's just the art itself. So be it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
like
phenomenal.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're living the dream right now, my friend. You've got a great setup, and it will continue to grow as you continue to show your personality. Because just by this conversation we've had, it's been great so far, and I've truly enjoyed being able to speak with you about your journey and really just about kind of what inspired everything as a whole. But besides that, I'm really happy for you. I think it's hard to find that, especially in a bear market like this, where you're able to find your market and the people who support you, and then you slowly, surely just continue to add more people into that community, and it just continues to grow like a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that because it's just suiting my lifestyle and everybody knows what to expect. Like,
is this full time for you?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're right. Yeah, like I've been for the last 2 months. I've been a full-time tree drawer. Yeah.
That's insane. That's awesome.
But I have been doing like full-time in Algorand as well beforehand too. So it's maybe been about a year and a half or so. I've been in NFTs making art full-time.
Nice. That's a big goal to achieve, especially if you're an artist and that's what you desire. And I mean, it provides you that source where you're capable of now working wherever you want in the world, whenever you want, however you want, because you have a community backing you, supporting you, and seeing the vision that you have saw out to see yourself to its fullest, potential.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well,
I'm just bringing it to realization for you right now. I don't feel like you probably have had conversations like this, but
yeah, like I do think about it because I've been trying to just make it suit my lifestyle, like make it less intense. And the big issue though is creating content. Like, if I stop creating trees, everything slows down. And
that's true.
And that's like the difficult part. And so, but because I have that freedom to explore, like with my time during the day, I've been trying to focus a lot more on like healing and doing yoga and my health and stuff, and listening to my body a lot more. Because there's no pressure for me to release really. Like everybody wants to see them, and there's probably people checking now, but I'm just gonna do it in my own time, and then if anybody like doesn't agree with that, well then the theory is like they shouldn't be in the collection or whatever, or they should just chill out. Like, I'm gonna try and just go with my own lifestyle, and I think a lot of people respect that too. They just want they love seeing what I'm making, and they just want to see it grow and see. But yeah, like it's been really nice having like a sort of livable income from this, like especially with Tree Faces flourishing pretty nice, like where I'm now just focusing on just trying to like make nice content and just have fun and connect with people, and I'm trying to help other artists as well, of just like explaining where my head's at with everything. And just I think it's really hard to know when you're starting as an artist what even an NFT collection should look like. And I've made like, my algo gods, and then I've made a few generative collections, and then one that was just like a collection of just random stuff, of tests and experiments. And like you pick up all the different ways the ecosystem reacts to that, because you start to see how they interact with it, whether it's from like on Twitter, or from the marketplace, or on checking the collection as a whole and scrolling through and like how they interact. Once you understand that, I think generally as an artist, then you can make it enjoyable. Because it's like if you learn, if you were a painter and then now you have to learn how to draw, you have some skills coming in. Like, you know how to make it look pretty and stuff, but you don't know why people enjoy drawing and everything. So you have to figure that out first before you can make a nice drawing. And because I see that, like, making a collection is like making a big artwork, and like the artwork should relate and link to one another. And then like once it starts making sense to a new person, like I try and think, does this make sense to a person that's never seen NFTs? Like, can they see some value in it? And if they can, then then it's promotable in the public, and then it's probably a good project.
I could throw it in art galleries. You should look at it as art galleries.
Yeah, well, because I've been thinking about, like, it'd be fun to do a market stall and then maybe try and give away free NFTs somehow, or something like.
Or you could just do the physical copies of the NFTs. If holders, you could enter holders into raffles, and then you could print it off and ship it to them, or something like that. Yeah. Ways of just giving back in, the slightest form, especially since in your case, it's just art-based. Nobody's expecting anything besides the art you produce. And that opens you up to not having to worry about anybody's expectations, because they buy it for one reason, to support you or because they like the art.
Yeah, well, and because I think as well, the other thing though that people miss is art as a significant thing.
Yeah.
Where like, because you might have a personal connection with an artwork. Like I might do an Alt Kings one, and you're like, "Yep, that's the one." But then it's also, you might see another one where it's like, this feels like it's going to be a significant piece in the collection, so I should own it. I'd love to own it and collect it. And it could be, maybe it's just going to be significant for the next month, or it could be 10 years down the track. And I think that's a thing that I've had to figure out with art NFTs, is people see some significance in it. And it can be like collecting seashells on the beach. I always sort of think of it like that, where
or Pokemon cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, although with Pokemon cards though too, I think they have their own extra utility of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
The metaphor of the seashells, it's like it's what nature's made, and when you see it, you find like something in it, like beauty, and then it reminds you of the beach as well. So it's like similar to my art. I kind of see it where it's like you might find some beauty and connect to it, and then maybe it reminds you of me and of XRP, and then there might be some content in there too, like there might be a guy with a crown, and then it makes you think of Alt Kings, and then it's that's special to me.
When I look at trees, I think of hash trees now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because there is a project. Whenever you first introduced tree faces, the first thing that came to thought was another project on Hedera called Hash Trees, and so I was like, in my head, I was just thinking like, am I gonna get these mixed up? And I actually just got them mixed up right there. But yeah, no. When I think of trees, though, I actually think of just growth as a whole, and it's kind of referring to the same seashell methodology that you have. And one thing that I can kind of correlate to the seashells would be like flowers with the kind of same representation. People look at them, find beauty in meaningful different ways, and it's a cool perspective to have, especially if you're an optimistic person who is very kind of open to different meaningful thoughts.
Yeah, because there's certain types of people that collect them. Like, well, there's certain groups too, because there's people that they buy the pieces because they're like, this is for me. But then there's people that'll buy the pieces thinking this is for someone else, and I'm gonna get there first and then sell it to them and make a profit. And so it's been really interesting seeing the different types of buyers, and just like the ecosystem interacting with the collection too.
I'm going to start picking up all these trees now. I'm going to start selling them for like 1,000 XRP each, hoping that they snag.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm just happy for you. At the end of the day, it's truly amazing to see somebody in this space. One, I get the honor of hosting you, but to see somebody who's full-time in the space now, because there's so much opportunity that not a lot of people can really grasp, that although we are in a bear market, you can still capitalize on the opportunities of making an income, regardless of like trading or trying to, start the next big thing. You can create income by either working for other projects or companies or creating art on your own, developing new D-apps. There's, so many different ways of, being included in a part of any ecosystem in Web3 that can open you up to being able to be in this opportunity like yourself, where you're completely Web3. And that's probably in a lot of cases for people watching this is what they'd love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, like I was just lucky that I had a following beforehand going to XRP, and that I was just making them thinking like, all right, eventually the demand will die down. But then it went the opposite way.
It never died.
Yeah.
It only revived.
Yeah. Because I'm really just trying to create value, man. And like, I try and think now, like, when I'm making a tree, can I imagine one of my mates picking this up? And like, can I imagine them wanting to spend probably a little bit more than what I've priced it at? If those two things are there, then it's probably going to sell. And then it'll just go on and do its own story.
But, I mean, if you think about it, you are the value, actually. Because everything you produce is the value that you're, wanting to create. Therefore, it's value that you're just basically just putting out into the world. And then it's created off of basically human interaction, I'd guess. And so you are the value itself. It's just anything that you do correlating to this specific field just springs and, I guess, aspires value, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
you get where I'm going.
Yeah, like I see it as a conversation between me and the collectors. Like, because, the collectors are the ones as well that add the value. Like, it's me and them.
Very great point.
Interacting. Yeah. And that's where, if I like am respecting them and giving them what they want, then they will like respond by picking it up and stuff. And if I'm like, doing ones that like aren't really hitting the mark, then they'll respond in that way. They'll be like, I don't really want to pick that one up right now. Like, and then so it's just that feedback loop where I see what they want to give and what they take and what they expect. And I think it's just, that ongoing conversation, and then it leads into these big things. And I think that, there's been a lot of people that have known me for over 2 years now. And so they've developed that trust and stuff that I'm not
their relationship.
Yeah.
They know you on a much more personal level now than they did 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. They've seen me do all my experiments and stuff. And I think that is another aspect of adding the value to the NFT, where it's like, just as much as the theme is good and the medium is good, the person that creates it is also a major aspect too. Like, because I have certain values, and if my values are shared by them, then we can move towards with that. And I think that, people enjoying that I'm keeping it really simple. Like, they value that and they want to support that. And it makes sense.
It's a great relationship,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been hard. Like, I've needed to figure out all the different ways of using Twitter and how to present my stuff. Like,
and now you can get paid from Twitter too.
I'll see how that goes. I haven't looked into that yet, but
yeah, definitely. It's definitely new and innovative, and I think it's going to help a lot of people with another source of revenue potentially for whatever sort of business they're wanting to start. But on a note, I'd like to say, Dale, thank you for taking the time. And if there's anything you'd like to close off on, now would be the time to do so. But once again, I appreciate this conversation, and I just really appreciate everything that you had to offer today. I think it's going to open up a lot of people's perspectives to what's out there and what's possible. And it's just a matter of putting in, the time, consistency, and, the work and the just constant effort to see something that you truly believe in succeed. And that's just, at the end of the day, I think of it as 1% every day. 1% every day will get you to that goal that you believe and you want to achieve. But
yeah, I guess that's well, yeah, I'd probably say too, of just like trying to consider long term how you're going to build this, because there's a time and a place to sprint. That's what I did at the start of the collection for Tree Faces, but I knew that it's a marathon, like just one step at a day, and after a year you'll get to where you need to be. You'll learn all the things. It's just being there that's the big part. Thanks so much for having me, man. It's been awesome.
Of course. Amazing. Yeah, definitely. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, this has been the All King.